Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a breathtaking story from ancient Egypt. It's an epic tale packed with a powerful king, our brave hero Moses, and one final, history-changing warning. So let's jump right into the adventure.
Now you might be wondering, what actually happens when a mighty king just absolutely refuses to listen? Like when a dangerous stubbornness takes over an entire kingdom. Well, today we're going to see exactly what goes down when pride gets in the way of doing the right thing. Because ignoring divine warnings, that leads to some literally earth-shaking consequences.
Section 1. One last warning.
All right, so our story kicks off with the ultimate authority, Adonai, speaking to our hero, Moses. Adonai tells him he's going to bring just one final plague down on Pharaoh and Egypt. And wow, this is the big one. It's going to be a massive display of divine justice and sovereignty. It's meant to show everyone that no matter how tough an earthly king like Pharaoh thinks he is, there is a much, much higher power at work. This single event is about to completely change the course of history for two whole nations.
Section 2. Treasures for the oppressed.
But before this huge midnight event, Moses gives the Israelites a very special instruction. He tells the men and women to ask their Egyptian neighbors for gold and silver. And this brings us to a super important lesson, a big word called vindication. Basically, vindication means getting paid back fairly for years of hard work when you've been treated badly. Remember, for centuries, the Israelites were forced to work as slaves for zero pay. God was making absolutely sure these oppressed people were finally given their reparations. It just goes to show that unfairness and exploitation, they never go unnoticed by divine justice.
The instruction was crystal clear. Every man and woman was to ask their neighbor for gold and silver jewelry. And you know the most amazing part? Because Moses was highly respected as a very great man in the land, Adonai actually worked a miracle right in the hearts of the Egyptians. He made them favorably disposed to the Israelites. There was no fighting, no arguing at all. They just happily handed over their sparkling gold and silver. The Israelites were finally getting their long overdue reward.
Section 3. The Midnight Judgment.
Now things get very serious here. Moses marches straight back into the palace and delivers a booming, terrifying warning to Pharaoh. He lays out exactly what's going to happen in 3 grim steps. First, midnight arrives. Second, every single firstborn in Egypt would sadly lose their life. We're talking from the mighty Pharaoh sitting high on his throne all the way down to the poorest slave girl at the handmill and even the livestock. And third, because of this massive loss, there would be a horrendous wailing echoing throughout the entire land, a cry of absolute sadness like never before and never again.
Section 4. The Great Distinction. But here is where we see something incredible. God was about to put up an invisible shield of protection around his faithful followers. The contrast was going to be unbelievable. Over in Egypt, horrendous wailing and immense chaos. But right next door, where the people of Israel lived, perfect, absolute peace. In fact, Moses promised it would be so incredibly quiet that not even a single dog's growl would be heard. Seriously, not even a tiny woof against any person or animal. So why was it going to be so quiet? Well, this magical silence was meant to show absolutely everyone a very specific truth. Adonai clearly distinguishes between the Egyptians and Israel. God was making an undeniable statement of his divine sovereignty, proving that he actively protects his people from the chaos swirling all around them.
Section 5. The Hardened Heart.
Right after delivering this terrifying warning, Moses looks right at Pharaoh and tells him exactly how his own royal servants are going to react. He predicts a rapid-fire sequence of events. Step 1, the warning is given. Step 2, midnight strikes with its devastating consequences. And Step 3, the aftermath. All of Pharaoh's own royal servants would come down, throw themselves on the ground, and literally beg Moses and his followers to get out of the country. And with those final, powerful words ringing in the air, our brave hero Moses turned on his heel. He didn't wait around for Pharaoh to argue or make up excuses. Nope, Moses marched right out of Pharaoh's presence in the absolute heat of anger. He had done his job, he had delivered the ultimate warning. But despite this intense, final warning, the story gives us a tragic summary. It says, Adonai had made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel leave his land. Even after Moses and Aaron had performed all these incredible wonders right in front of him, Pharaoh's heart was just like a stubborn rock. This acts as a huge cautionary tale for all of us. It shows the extreme danger of a hardened heart and how letting pride and dangerous stubbornness take over can lead to escalating suffering for an entire nation.
Section 6. Lessons of Exodus 11.
So, let's wrap up with the deep moral takeaways from our explainer today. First, rebellion against divine will always leads to devastating consequences. Second, we see the absolute danger of a hardened heart, as Pharaoh's stubbornness hurt everyone around him. Third, divine justice and sovereignty are undeniable. God ultimately enforces his will and protects his faithful followers. And finally, vindication. We see that God ensures the oppressed are paid back for their struggles, proving that unfair treatment is never, ever ignored.
Click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.